He's like the mom and the.
It is recording.
Recording. Okay, so I'm going to bring this June age-friendly meeting to order, June 10th. And I sent out the agenda. So I think folks, if you're joining by Zoom, you have it in your email, and I have printed copies here. And so I'm hoping everybody got a chance to look at the minutes from May 13th. I didn't hear back from anybody as far as any kind of edits needed. So unless you have an edit that you want to speak about now, we will consider them final. Are they good? Anybody that read it, good to go. Yeah, we're a rowdy bunch here today. Yeah. Good. So, actually, I'm going to just take a break because we have a new face at the table. Yeah. So Tom and Stephanie on Zoom. I'm just gonna do introductions, and I know Tracy, are you able to start if we start at that end of the table and go around because we have a new person? Nice. There's no sorry needed. Oh no, there's no sorry needed. I'm just starting there. Yeah.
It's either not on or on. Okay, so Tracy Perry. Hello, everybody. I am the initiatives director for the Katahdin Collaborative.
Very good. We're good. Next.
I'm Nancy Grant. I work for Eastern Area Agency on Aging. I'm a program coordinator for Northern Penobscot County.
Good.
Okay, I am Barbara Riddle Dvorak, community volunteer and former AmeriCorps member.
Mhm.
Diana Furukawa, I'm the director of the Millinocket Library.
Jane Danforth, and you and I know each other. Right. Thrive Penobscot, Millinocket Regional Hospital. So you probably know that fellow up there. We'll go to Tom and Stephanie.
Tom Malcolm, I'm the Public Health and Safety Officer and Code Enforcement Officer for the town of Millinocket.
I'm Stephanie Jameson. I am an Aging and Disability Resource Coordinator Specialist for Eastern Area Agency on Aging.
Very good. I think you know everybody. And behind that M is our town manager who hit record for us, Peter Jameson. So back to the agenda. Oh, look, nice. There's a face to that.
It was
M,
fleeting, but it happened.
yeah, M for mystery man behind.
Yeah, I'm absolutely buried. I'm just going to be working here in the background.
That's fine. That's good. Thank you, Peter. Appreciate that. So on the agenda too, we did have an ad in the paper, so hopefully you guys saw it, and Barbara wrote an article for us to be able to put in there, so we called it sort of a press release. So, and it was a call for vendors for the farmers market. Yeah, I don't think,
And
Yeah.
Amber kindly did a
Yes.
ad for us to go next to it.
yeah, some Amber from our town office helped out with the ad so that we could get that in there. And so Barbara, have
You're
you?
beating off a flood of.
I was gonna
inquiries.
ask you, how was that going?
I wish. Yeah, I
Uh-huh.
wish. But I did, I'm gonna throw in one quick thing. One of the people who's going to be a vendor with her artwork, pottery and jewelry said, you know, if we can't get enough farmers, next summer we could maybe rebrand as a makers market, which is a good
Okay.
idea.
Yeah.
Rather than be a failed farmers market, we can expand the idea of maker and maybe have some participatory things for kids, you know, because she used to teach art at Stearns. So art granite, anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm excited again.
Yeah, yeah, and I noticed that, because you helped out with the text and stuff here, it does say call for vendors, artists and makers, so I thought that was
Yes,
good, that was
yes,
cool
yeah.
terminology.
You know, we have to flow with what we have, what we,
Yeah.
you know, what's
Yeah.
here, so, but that could be really exciting. So.
Yep. And so the first farmer's market will
Is
be
July
July
5th,
5th.
and probably we won't actually have a farmer, but
Mhm.
that remains to be determined. We'll have goat milk products.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
and plush stuffed goats, but yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, may I ask a quick question about, we're planning a hiker's booth as part of the farmer's market. Tracy, did you by any chance get a bid just for a second copy of the banner?
No,
Okay,
so my thing is, we definitely could order a second one, and I think it's gonna be in the $200 range.
okay,
For the size that we want,
okay,
and it might go down because we're ordering multiples,
Exactly.
but I had only just did the
Right.
budget for
So
the.
Jen, because they kindly jumped in to cover the cost of the banner, basically, I'm thinking they're gonna be using it. Could we have two, just so we don't trade back and forth and wonder where it is? If we get a minimal, so we would just, Age Friendly would pay for one, the second copy, and then we don't have to worry.
So what
about-
what was the cost of the banner?
I just really kind of like went onto like one site and it's around $200.
Around
I can
200.
get you more information.
Yeah.
Right, but
But
you're
we're
paying,
we commissioned, McKenna
Yeah,
to do the artwork, which she has, she's almost finished. And then it's gonna be digitized and put on a banner.
are you paying
there's
her a
gonna be-
stipend of some kind, or?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's great. Yeah, I was
we're-
thinking,
We're paying her for her artwork.
Great.
And then also we're paying for her to do the digitizing.
okay,
And then we're also paying for the banner.
great. So I thought it would be volunteer, wasn't thinking of paying, but I'm glad that they
Yeah,
are doing
yeah,
that.
through the
But if we
collaborative.
could authorize $200 approximately for a second banner, then we wouldn't have to worry about where it is and trading it around and stuff. That would be great.
what are we calling the banner?
Hikers.
Celebratory photo.
I know.
Well, yeah, cause you had been calling it like a photo booth.
a
but it's
hiker's
more
photo
like
booth
a backdrop
be-
for.
Katahdin backdrop for various purposes. Yeah, one for the farmer's market dedicated to that, and one for use by the collaborative, yeah. But they're,
Yeah, it's more is like an AT kind of celebration with, I have a picture of it actually.
Oh, you
I'll
do?
put it,
Oh,
like, show
great.
you.
Okay, so I'm hearing your request and we're gonna be talking about some of
Okay, so-
the funding that we have through the town
Okay.
for the
Okay.
for this sort of thing, so
so
that
I
comes
think
at
it's
good timing.
gonna be even more useful than I had thought,
Okay.
you know.
So this is a picture.
Oh,
of
pretty.
it,
Wow.
And this constellation.
Sorry, you
is-
can't see it online.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so sorry. This constellation is the
Beautiful.
Appalachian Trail on the map. If you're looking on the map, this is what that is. It's super.
Oh, okay.
As a constellation.
Beautiful,
Mm.
wow.
So she's gonna clean up this and make it a little bit cleaner, but then. We're gonna have just a big banner where people can stand and take a picture.
Yeah,
So-
right.
You see
Really
it?
pretty.
You see it?
I haven't exactly
okay, so it's good.
pictured where
Yeah.
we would
That's
hang
about
it yet.
Yeah, no, that is
I know
great.
there's a
Wow.
tree, but
It's really.
Yeah.
yeah,
like cool.
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
She did a great job, and thank you to Diana for connecting us.
Yeah.
Keeping it local.
Yeah.
Keeping it local.
So that's gonna be a new addition to
That's
the
right.
market. So-
Okay.
The other thing too is the collaborative, if it's a question of money, if we needed a second one, we could always order one. Because we'll have the file
Yeah,
and, we could potentially start with one and the collaborative could pay for it and it would just.
It takes, what, a week or two to get it once you order
I
it? or-
think so, I
Okay.
don't know, like,
I
the
think-
Millinocket always adds
We
like,
should just order two, well,
yeah, I mean.
while they have the files and everything, really.
But our budget was around $5.
okay.
So that means that we'll donate the one.
Donate the one. Yeah.
Do you know if it'll be
But-
ready for July 5th?
I'm hoping it just depends on, she wanted to get this finished and we have to get it into digital form and.
Okay, because we only have, 4 markets this summer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me ask the question, and why do we need to, if it's one, it's gonna be for the market itself? And we have the file, if something happened to it, we could order another one.
just- The amount of time of, who are you, where are you, do you need it today, do you need it in 3 days, back and forth of the banner,
Well,
logistics.
were you giving it to the farmer's market, to use in the farmer's
you're
market? So
giving
there
it
will,
to
there will
us.
be no logistics involved?
Oh,
No, it would really just be logistics if like the Trails End Festival wanted to use it.
right,
Or there was another entity that wanted to use it.
right,
I just would hate for it, and then obviously if we loaned it to somebody and it got lost. then
Right.
We would still have a file that. we could
Okay.
run and printed, but totally up to you. I
Yeah.
don't.
No, from what I'm understanding and what you're saying, it seems like we could start with one and be in possession of it. We would be the one, like for Trails End or whatever, and then just have to get it back. I would just hate to like go ahead and spend $200 just in case, so we have a second one, or if there's an immediate need,
okay,
I'd
I
wait
just
until.
know that, that's fine.
immediate
There's
need.
gonna be a time when two people need it at approximately within 3 days of each other, and it's gonna be logistics and people's time and effort, but that's fine.
We get first dibs, the farmer's market.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
belongs to
the-
you.
yeah.
If
Okay,
you're-
okay.
if
You're
you
gonna
don't
just-
wanna loan it out, that's gonna be, the farmer's market is gonna be the one that's gonna be.
I once lent a rain canopy to somebody and
So-
it didn't get back to us.
So lesson learned, right?
I have my experience with that, so.
Yeah.
That's fine. I wasn't
So-
sure that you were giving it to us. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
all
good.
right,
All right,
all
very
right.
good.
I'm not gonna hold it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
All
I
right.
could, I have a garage, but somebody would have to come and get it.
Well, I'll have it at my house or it'll be in the little cabin there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
figure that out.
So let's
So-
do that. We'll have the file. If there's an emergency or something, we
Okay.
can always order another one.
Okay,
And then we would come back to
and
the,
somebody will get it to the market on July 5th.
fingers crossed if it's ready. Yeah.
Okay,
She's coming off, like she's just getting done.
yeah,
with
I know,
school.
I know.
There's a lot going
Yeah.
on and I don't wanna stress her out.
Yeah, it's the most publicity that we're getting from the town for that. Okay, thank you
will
so
say,
much.
I just ordered a banner. You might have seen it when you walked in
Oh,
out front, and it came in like 4 days.
There we
So
go.
I'm not
So-
too worried about, like, if she can get it done.
Okay, okay.
By the end of
Good.
the month, you could probably get it expedited,
Yeah.
so.
I just remember chasing down the files for the sign on the pathway on the Michaud Trail. It
This
took
is
like,
different.
I know, it took,
yeah, we'll share
Well,
it
Shay,
again
very good.
with
okay,
Age friendly. So
perfect.
that it lives in multiple.
All right, I'm
places.
just the backup plan A, B, and C person.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Very
I
good.
like it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I love it. It's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Good. Well,
I'm
thank you for all
excited.
your work that you're doing on the farmers, artisan, makers
Oh, yeah,
market.
yeah.
We're gonna try to.
It's a
help-
work in progress.
Yep,
Yeah.
make it successful and,
But I love the fact that we had one done by one of our high school students. That's beautiful.
Yeah. yeah. Okay, so moving on, so, we have I say the town and, Peter had a request from Bobby, for some funding, related to Bobby's Gardens that she does along the Mitchell Trail. And I said, so he's looking in his budget where he might have some funds to support her request. And I said, well, let me bring it to the Age Friendly Committee, because there was, sort of a budget line for some of our committee work and how much had we spent. So Tom compiled a list of things that we know that we had kind of promised, and I've been in touch with Amber. And so I created here, for those people here in the room, I have a paper copy of some of the things that we have obligations for and that Tom had sent me. And after we take care of those obligations, potentially we have like $1,500 left in the line. So Tom, I added to the list that you gave me and in talking with Amber. So for those not on here with a physical copy, so there's like $90 for an ad for Farmers Market that just came out. There was something we had talked about previously, some of the entertainment around July 5th, some family entertainment. Jeff Ham and that, Tom, you can speak to that though, but that part of the events committee, so it was like through the partnering with the events committee and in the age friendly committee to make it, age friendly and all that family fun that we were gonna help out with covering the costs for that event. We talked about the porta potties, or the porta potty, is it porta potties, or is it the one, it'll be there for one. So it's a handicap accessible, so it'll be there for farmers market, but other events that are held in the park over the summer. So there's a cost to that, $600. This is what I added in talking with Amber and trying to get the community garden up and running. We have 10 plots. We really need some more, a bag of soil or some Miracle Grow for that. And Peter had just gotten some for the town. He was able to give me a cost for 10 bags is $179. Do you want to talk, Tom, about repairs to the storage building? You know more about that than I do. So Tom had reached out to me and said, we need some repairs to the storage building, and perhaps we should buy some rakes and brooms for an Earth Day cleanup so that we have those readily available for, we're going to continue to do that as an annual event. So he put a dollar amount in that. And once we add all that up, based on what we had in there for balance, we still have 1,500 left.
Right. What I was looking at is, like Jane said, $600 for the porta potty. That's for the summer. That's splitting it with, with, the events committee. They're paying half, we pay half. $200 for Jeff Ham to do a kickoff for the farmer's market on July 5th. We also, Amber got a grant for $10,000 for a summer series of music. So we're gonna work that into it as well. And then we're looking at roughly $500 to, we gotta fix that shed up or we're gonna lose it. The roof is bad on it, the doors are bad. I mean, that was given to us by the rec. When the rec didn't want it anymore, I kind of snatched it for us. So we really need to fix that. And then we talked about having some rooms and rates available where if Earth Day is going to continue to be one of our sponsored events. So I had $200 for brooms, $200 for rakes, and then $90 for the ad and $179 for the soil. Brings us up to $1,860. We have $3,400 in the account. I don't know,
I don't know, his math is
Okay.
different. than mine.
the other thing we talked
Yeah.
about, Amber and I talked a little about is, should we be looking at doing something like a dock or some way for people to be able to get water down for the community gardens?
Community garden.
We just talked about that. And I looked at the Bobby Allen, the Bobby's Gardens thing.
Yeah,
I
for
mean-
list.
If we want to buy a bench or if we want to buy a table, I could see that. We got to remember this money is to do events and to do other things other than the events committee does, like Age Friendly does stuff, and that's what that was really put in there for. And the other thing we got to remember is next year we're only going to get $2,000. We cut $1,000 out of that budget. And if we spend it all, then we won't carry anything over, and all we'll have is the $2,000 that will be tight, really tight next year. So those are my thoughts and ideas. If anybody else has anything else,
Yeah, so I been at the community garden last week to weed whack to get it ready. So I need to get that ready for people to adopt plots. And it's interesting, when I was there, I saw some kids come with fishing poles and they were standing on the bank there and they were fishing. So I wondered if we actually put up in order to get people getting water out of the stream to water their gardens. And so I don't know, is it plausible to put a little dock in there? I mean, is that from the code enforcement part of it, is that a good idea for us to do to make it easier to dip to get water? I can see them fishing from there if you do that too.
in looking at it, I think we can. I meant to talk to Brian and he was in this morning. I forgot all about asking him. But I wouldn't think we'd want to put a big dock out there, but maybe just one piece or something, just something out into the water a little bit.
Yeah.
Biggest problem down there is the rise and the flow
Yeah.
of the river up and down.
Yeah. It varies.
I just didn't know whether we wanted to look at doing something with that or not,
Some of
as a
those
way,
funds.
like I said, to get water.
Yeah.
Is the
Sometimes
pump
it's not too
system
bad for water,
not
it's high enough. I'm sorry.
So Diana's asking about the pump system. I know at one point we had a pump and then it got submerged in the very first pump that we had was rendered, it didn't work anymore. However, somebody used it. And then I know we had purchased another one and I'm not sure if it even got set up.
Hmm.
So it's a little bit about, so people were getting water from the stream. So,
What were they using? Was it electric? Were they running electric to it, to the
I don't
pump?
think
It was Brittany's idea, and
Yeah.
I never used it myself,
I
but I
know.
remember that was the idea,
Yeah.
was that it would pump the water from the stream into a hose.
yeah. And then somebody
know
had a
the-
collection bucket from rainwater and stuff. So,
I know the first pump, they didn't secure it and they lost it.
yeah.
Quite a current in there. It'll take that stuff if you don't have it secured good, so.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
I
pretend
don't
to
know,
know.
that was
much.
just an idea that we had
Yeah.
kind of thrown, around. I just wanted to bring it up to everybody to see what
No,
your
I mean,
thoughts were.
I can hear what you're saying is don't spend down all the money because we still have some things that we currently have that need some attention. I know as far as, I'll just, just weigh in a little bit as far as, the use of this funds, like you said, for events and stuff, or to support our action plan. And I would say that benches along the trail would support our action plan. So I would be in favor of, allocating or using some of our funds to help put benches along the trail. I don't know how other people feel.
That was my understanding too, is that it was for the
Yeah.
plan, but I'm struggling a little with this decision because I don't feel like we've prioritized our current plan. So I know it's in there, but is it of top priority
Right.
in terms of other things that we could spend this money on? Especially knowing that we're not getting as much in future years and,
Yeah.
that was just my only, not that I think it's an important thing, but.
Thank you, Diana. Does anybody else want to weigh in at this point?
No, and not to take away from that, but I think Diana's
No.
right. We need to, and I can see bench or a table being part of our plan. I mean, that we
Mhm.
talked about making that usable for all ages, and there's no benches. If you walk around that loop, there's no benches or anything on it. So
And I'm not sure, she has like $200 down there each, so I'm not sure what kind of benches they are that she's thinking of putting there. Are they wooden benches? Are they plastic resin? What kind of
Hmm.
benches? I'd want to make sure that,
I would vote for one bench and one table. Table usually has benches attached to it, some of the.
like a
tables.
picnic table sort of thing.
There aren't any benches beyond, when you cross the bridge, there are no benches that I know of, unless you cross Central. Then there's some way at the top near the high school. And the one bench is really, really old and flaky and worn out and splintery, the one by the old willow tree where the kayak launching Randall Park
Oh,
area,
yeah,
yeah.
Crandall Park.
It'd be nice to have one newer bench there.
I would support a bench on the other side, because I do think it's a gap, and maybe that's a way to do part of it.
Two
but
benches or just one?
At least one to start, but I also think it's potentially a good sponsorship opportunity, because the
Mhm, yeah.
existing benches, they have Dead
Yeah.
River on them, they
Yeah.
have, like, that's the kind
Yeah.
of thing
Yeah.
that businesses like to
That's
sponsor.
true.
So that might be worth considering,
Yeah.
at least a partial.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, leaning in and having businesses underwrite that cost is great. That's a really good idea,
Mhm.
and it helps them.
Oh.
I think for me, I would think 2 benches and a picnic table, but we need to, like Diana said, prioritize where we're spending this money. So, yeah.
Maybe we could have a sponsorship thing at the July 5th celebration. We could have a sign-up sheet saying, would you like to sponsor a bench at the Micho Trail? Maybe there.
I think we need to work with Bobby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I think we need to work with Bobby, but yeah, to let her know we want to help her with this. And I don't know, Peter, are you able to come on? I don't know if you're listening at this juncture as far as what the town, if you found money in another budget line to be able to help out with any requests.
I did, I just unplugged my camera for something else.
Okay,
Yeah, no, we I had originally identified one other or possibly 2 other lines that we could squeeze
Cool.
some out of up to the whole amount. And then the age-friendly committee came later in the conversation.
right,
What
yeah.
happened to the benches, Tom, that were at the farmer's market the first year? There were 3 or 4 benches, picnic tables, I mean. Where did those go?
those are placed in different parks around the community. The town, the Amber got those under, I think it was under a grant, I'm not sure. And then we moved them around. We have some at each park.
Okay,
Yeah, we got those with some of a prior CDBG program from the state.
one near the community garden would be nice, so people, if they're picking vegetables or need to take a break from weeding.
There is a picnic table by
Is
the,
there?
yeah,
Oh,
there is,
okay.
I been down there.
And
by the-
actually, we got all those right from John Bros here
Yeah.
in town. They
Yeah.
built them. They were pretty good price.
Yeah. So,
But-
going back to, your just conversation about like sponsorship of a bench, maybe, you know, for the sake of, this conversation, that we sponsor 2 benches. And that I hear what you're saying as far as we need to prioritize in.
I love the benches idea,
I do
because I think there's so much, like research on this, that it helps community connection.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
It promotes that, it has a place for people to rest and, you know, congregate
Yeah.
and build community, so they're like that, I love that idea.
yeah,
It's just figuring out how to do it the best way,
Right.
right? And having businesses, you know,
Yeah.
plop a plaque on there is great.
Which you
Yeah.
can always do after the fact.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
decide we wanna
Yeah,
do this,
that's
and we can
true.
get those afterwards,
Yeah.
you know, to help pay for it.
right.
Yeah.
So I know she's waiting a decision, and Peter's waiting to let her know a decision after this meeting. So, and Tom had brought forth, you know, maybe there's more that we need to do at the community garden for the water thing, and as far as not.
So can I
Yeah.
interrupt there, Jane, for a moment?
Sure. Yes,
I think that it would be more beneficial to her mission to put something more towards the like equipment and fuel side of it than places to sit. If you're doing this to benefit her and her mission, rather than the committee's mission, which I understand are 2 different things. But initially, the outreach was to help her.
so that's where the town would need to lead in, as far as the committee's mission, as far as making, you know, our community, in our action plan under outdoor spaces and buildings is prove access to use of the in-town, paths and trails, and assess the need and secure funding for things like, you know, benches and lighting and that sort of thing, on her community garden and on the trail. So for our mission, the benches and being age-friendly, that fits, our work. I hear what
Okay.
you're saying. She needs that
Then-
other stuff to maintain her gardens.
Right, so, okay, we'll talk a little bit more about that offline, I think.
Yeah,
Cause at this point, it's too late to do anything to be on this warrant.
true. Yep.
But yeah, okay, well, maybe we can come up with a combination from other town funds too.
Okay. Thank you.
Is
So,
there any chance of getting 2 benches for this summer rather than tabling that idea? Sponsored by Age Friendly?
how does other people feel about this request?
It also
Too bad.
increases awareness of what she's doing if more people are encouraged to sit and use it and enjoy it.
I thought that's
Well,
kind of what we were leaning
That's
towards,
what I-
and that Peter was just saying that the operational stuff might have to be squeezed out of other
Right,
accounts
yeah,
if
right,
possible,
yes,
but,
yeah.
yeah.
Can we?
So
get-
Tom, are you good with that? If, like, knowing that, we have like $1,500 after we have our other expenses that we talked about here, covered, go toward the purchase of 2 benches along the trail?
I think if the committee decides they want to buy a couple of benches to put on that trail, that the town purchases those benches.
Yeah,
Let Peter or Brian see what we can do, because if we're gonna put something there, let's put something that's gonna last and be
yeah,
good,
okay.
not just. And I'd like to start out with a couple, just like tables. I think you start out with a couple and see where that goes and how they make it through the winter. As far as vandalism and stuff goes as well. Because you're talking down on the hidden part of the trails, not right out where, I mean, along Crandall Park, they're right there where people see them, but other parts of the trail, they're not. So, I think,
Okay.
I would be in favor of buying a couple of benches this, out of this budget.
Okay. All right, I think we've done well on that discussion and and we need to move on, based on time, we need to move on, but we will follow up with seeing about a couple benches. Okay, so we're on number 4 on the agenda, discussion. I wanted to bring up, there's a couple different things and I have Nancy here for one of them. But I just wanted to share that I got a phone call, a couple different phone calls and since our last meeting and, you know, from individual looking for somebody that could pick up groceries and deliver them. She's homebound, not mobile, can't get out and would call Hannaford, you know, and order and just needed somebody to go pick up, bring them to her house, drop them off in her kitchen, that sort of thing. And I know, you know, we don't have that service. So it's,
Does Hannaford to go doesn't do that?
No.
They
Yeah.
don't
Get up.
deliver,
You have to
no,
pick it up
pay that.
there.
you have to
Okay.
go. Yeah.
In
and-
other communities.
Yeah.
Like,
So
there's
she,
Usually it's tied to like Uber Eats or DoorDash or a
Gotcha.
delivery service, so that's who, yeah.
Okay.
You
It-
know, and I also, to back that, I have a lot of consumers that call me on a regular basis. They have no family members, lack of transportation, they're homebound. They can call an order, but they need it brought to their homes. And they're not asking somebody to put away everything, just bring the
Yeah.
bags to their home and put them in, you know, in the kitchen. So that they, and I do get a large number of calls daily for that.
Does Ellis deliver anymore? They were for a few years during
I
COVID.
don't know if they are or not.
yeah, and yeah, I don't know that, but I felt that I couldn't help her. I gave her the help desk number and, you know, she was gonna call Eastern area. I think, I don't know if, you know, whether Stephanie got a call or somebody fielded a call, but it was just, you know, she called back more than once.
Mhm.
And I was at a point where I was gonna go do the delivery and then there was a disconnect, like I called her back and she didn't return my call. So I wanted to bring that up in our discussion because I know there's stuff like that that's in our work plan and as we go forward.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to couple it with the discussion with Nancy, because I went to the Eastern Area Agency, at the expo that
Right.
we talked about
Mhm.
last time. And here I am in Bangor talking about the Millinocket need, but I was just shocked and I just like, will have you share what you do
Yeah.
and the need here in the wait list. I think we all need to be aware of it.
Right now, we have multiple programs that we deal with, but Meals on Wheels is one of our focals right now because of the lack of funding that we have as an agency to provide meals. Right now, anybody that calls looking for meals, we have to put them on a wait list. I have people back from 2024 still on that wait list. Because it doesn't matter when you call, what order you call, it's based on need. The greater the need, the more they move up on our wait list. And right now here, just here, I have 56 clients right now that have been on for a year or better.
When
on
you
our
say
Meals on Wheels.
here, tell me the location.
Well, location, like, my coverage area that I do, I'm a program coordinator for Eastern Area Agency. I do Millinocket, East Millinocket, Medway. I do Mattawamkeag, Patton, Springfield, Topsfield, Lincoln, Enfield, I'm trying to think where else. But a large, you know, area, but it's in the northern Penobscot County.
Yeah.
And the need is growing every day. Because I said, so many of these consumers have no family, nobody living, you know, you're looking at the older community, people in their 80s and 90s that have no resources to get services to them. The Meals on Wheels we do deliver, but like I said, unfortunately, we have such a great wait list going on in all of our districts. And, you know, Meals on Wheels isn't just here. We cover Washington County, you know, all kinds of different areas. And so the list continues to grow because the funding, like everything else, keeps getting cut for everybody. And so that is, you know, services or, you know, somebody to sponsor some meals, anything to get some of these people off the wait list. When I go to homes, I do in-home assessments. And mine aren't just on the telephone. You actually get to physically see the need that's in our community. I have people that will, you know, open their cupboards, the refrigerator, and there's absolutely nothing in them. And, you know, the Meals on Wheels program can provide them, you know, with the at least a good basic meal for the day that's well balanced. They're getting the proteins, everything that they need to sustain them. Because, you know, look at people without food become more depressed, their health declines, and we have a very aging community, and we desperately need resources to be able to provide meals to our, you know, our areas.
So tell us about like who picks up the cost of the meal? And then when you deliver it, is it every 2 weeks and it's like
It
10, how many
depends, yeah,
meals
it
is it?
depends on the area. Like I go all the way up to Kimmy and Lakeville now, those consumers I have on a once a month plan. And so they will bring, most Meals on Wheels consumer will qualify for 10 meals. You know, 5, because we do some every other week, so they would
Okay.
get 10 meals at a time, and they would get 5 meals per week. And, you know, a basic hearty meal. Then they also, with that, with the Meals on Wheels program, they get a small loaf of homemade wheat bread, light wheat bread. And they also are provided, which the state has control of that, whether it's, they consider it fruit. We do like little containers of applesauce, fruit juices, things to, you know, help sustain them, you know,
Yeah.
through the week. I have a lot of consumers that would go without food, because what little food they do have, some of them, they will provide it for their animals. You know, and it's sad to go into a home and see people actually doing that, because they don't have anything. And like I said, they're an adjacent, they're not familiar with computers, they're not, you know, savvy to what's going on in different areas that could help them. So we do provide, you know, a lot of that service, give them resources, but with no transportation and physical needs are very limited. They're not able to go out and go for a walk and pick something up.
Right.
So this is where the Meals on Wheels is so critical, because it's delivered to their home. They do not have any cost incurred in the Meals on Wheels program. That is all funded programs. But like I said, we've lost a lot of financial backing through the government,
Yeah.
like everybody else has. And, you know, so to have the large numbers of people waiting over a year to get meals to their home is extremely sad.
And for the wait list to open up, it's usually somebody passes away and makes room.
It
I
could
mean,
be
it's-
that, yes. Like I said, I have some that are on there. I looked at my list today before I came here, and I have some people that are 2024 been on that list. So it's, you know, we rely on help, you know, to help provide meals to homes.
Is there an opportunity for people to purchase the meals if they had the funding and they just needed meals that were prepared?
We did. We lost that program.
Okay.
It was costing us more to provide it than we were getting in.
Got it.
Yeah, so that was called doorstep dining, and we
Okay,
no
I
longer have
remember
that.
that, yeah.
We no longer have that service.
Okay, because I had a call the other day too.
Yeah.
Somebody asked, they just needed the meal. They could
Mm.
pay for them, but they just.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think, I'm trying to remember who spoke about that, maybe it was Stephanie, another time about mom's meals or like alternatives.
Stephanie-
We've
I was
heard
Yeah.
gonna bring
people-
that up. Yeah, I can speak a little bit to that.
Yeah.
So usually what happens if someone calls, they may call Nancy directly. They know her, which I'm sure happens often. Or they'll call Eastern area, they'll leave a message on the answering machine, kind of saying what they're looking for. And then myself and the other ADRCs will go through the list and call people back. And whenever I see someone from the area, I usually take those calls, because it's nice to talk to someone that knows your area, that knows the people you know. 9 times out of 10, they're a really distant relative somehow, because we live in a small community. That's happened a couple times. But so typically the way the calls go is they'll call, they'll ask about Meals on Wheels. I'll explain the wait list. I'll explain the eligibility for the program, which is 6 year over and homebound. So that means that being able to go to the grocery store, go through, pick out your groceries, get them home, put them away, and then cook yourself a nutritious meal is difficult. And that could be because of age, disability, health condition, you know, that sort of thing. And I've had several calls, it's the beginning of the week, and I've had a couple already this week of people calling, and, you know, we explain the wait list, and they say, well, is it more than a year? And I say, you know, it's different. It's a case by case basis, but there are some people who have waited quite a long time for it. And people will say like, well, I could be dead before then. that's
Yeah.
just the harsh reality of what
Mhm.
people are facing. And I know that there have been plenty of EAAA staff who have gone after hours and brought food to people. And, but we can't do that for everybody, even though I'm sure we all wish that we could, because that's why we're here. But yeah, it really is. I'm glad that Nancy's here and brought it up, because this has been like really heavy on me for the last couple weeks, taking these calls and knowing that there's such a need here, but that we also have so many people that would be willing to help if they could. And I will refer people to Mom's Meals. There's another one that's called, I'll have to look it up. There's another one that will deliver meals as well that are medically tailored. So it's not like a meal kit. It's like an actual meal that comes to your home. But if they can't pay for those, then,
Yeah,
they're
so I
all
was
other-
just gonna mention, there is a
Yeah.
cost to those programs.
Right. Yeah.
And you're looking at people barely, a lot of our consumers are bringing in on social security, 800 less.
Yeah,
So they can't afford to incur that cost.
right. To
And
order.
that's
one.
why the
Yeah.
Meals on Wheels is so critical,
Mhm.
because we can touch those that are great, have the greatest needs.
So Nancy, if there was funding locally, like you
Mhm.
just said, like there's over 50 on a waiting
Mhm.
list. If there was funding locally to take care of the cost of that,
Mm.
are you able to then serve those 50 people if we magically came up with
Yeah.
funding? Can you
Yes,
then?
well, what they're doing right now, because we have, like I said, bases all throughout.
Yeah.
Is that they'll take so many from each, so one area is not getting all of them. And to
Yeah.
make it fair to every community.
Right.
And so they'll take so many off each wait list. And like I said, it's based on the greatest need, who can
Yeah.
go first.
Yeah,
But there is, we have over 300, almost 400 right now,
on a wait list.
total on wait lists.
So can people contribute directly to like the Millinocket, EAAA?
Yes, what we
Asian
do is
Social
have,
Welfare?
then, if you wanted to write a check or whatever, is make a check out to Eastern Area Agency on Aging, and you can direct where you want that to go to. And, a lot of, and we say if anyone wants to make sure you include on there,
Yeah.
I want this donated to Meals on Wheels. And if you have a location, you can allocate that also. Because I said, it's sad, you can talk about it all you want, but until you go into the people's
Mhm.
homes
Mhm.
and, they have, I just recently went into a home here in town and she had 6 blankets on her. She had no heating oil whatsoever. She had 0 food in her home. And she's sleeping on a couch with no cushions because that's how desperate she is for anything. And that happens more than not, believe it or not. And, people think, oh, they're older, they're, got a pension, this, that, or that, but it's not, these people have lost their spouse. They're severely depressed because of losing that spouse or companion and not having any family or family that will help. They're on their own. They're, they're cold, they're hungry. There's so many needs that are not being met right here in our own community. And I find that very upsetting.
Does anyone use the Good Shepherd Senior Food Box, the
Yes.
emergency?
We do, yes, we have actually do the commodity food program, and that's a once a month supplemental food program. And that is income qualified on
Okay,
that
yeah,
program.
yeah.
And we also have the Furry Friends, which is a supplemental once a month pet food, for one animal in the home. So we have lots of resources throughout our agency that people can connect with. But right now, we've also got a wait list on the Furry Friends program. We have a wait list on the commodity foods program. And it's very sad. I find people think, well, Eastern Area Agency, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And, people say, well, why does somebody have a pet if they can't feed themselves? But think about it, if you had a husband, your wife, or whichever the case may be, and you've suddenly lost them, that animal is their only connection.
Yeah.
It's their.
It's there's something they can hug and
Yeah,
love and
yeah.
talk to. It's their social connection to life.
Yeah.
And without that,
Yeah.
a lot die. And, unfortunately, I hate saying that, but it's, that's the only communication they have with the world
Right.
outside.
Yeah. Nope. and I wanted you here just to, so people could hear
Mhm.
the need and we need to figure out, and it's not going to be at this particular meeting, I know
Right.
that, like how to move forward. We do have, when you came here just prior, I introduced you,
Mhm.
Tracy, and we're going to
Yes.
bring you to our other work groups because we have some work group
Yeah.
established through the collaborative food insecurity and heat and insecurity.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it's,
Yeah, like I said,
I
people
go-
just don't understand the need in their own communities, what there
Mhm.
is.
yeah.
It's very sad.
And I know in our work plan, we had talked about handy help, but we're aware of the
Mhm.
need and we haven't been able to move the needle on getting, some groups established to do, whether it's handy helper or food
Right.
delivery, pickup
Mhm.
delivery. So I'm thinking in our next iteration of our action plan, those need to rise to the top and work together on that. So,
Well, it's just making me think, like,
Oh.
we talked about transportation separately with
Yeah.
Amber. And the town,
Mhm.
which it's not a thing yet, so. it's
Yeah.
Not gonna help right
Yeah.
now.
And we
but
know
I'm
that
trying to think
program
of-
that program actually that you met about is gone. It's no longer,
Mm.
that was
Okay,
eliminated.
yeah.
Yeah, so, but yes, go on.
So, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
something, right?
Mhm.
And so, I think there's other ways, but, it makes me think of, like I said, we're developing this kind of funding application
Mhm.
to work collaboratively with the food council group, the network. Is there a way to pivot, knowing
Mhm.
that, could we tweak it a little bit to include some funding for delivery
Mhm.
or something? Like my mind is kind of like, I'm just trying to process it all
Mhm.
Right.
out. Cause we're meeting with Darcy, Diana and I on Thursday, so it's happening
Mhm.
fast. So maybe we could talk.
Yeah,
you know.
definitely, definitely.
Yeah, I'm curious to ask Darcy or some of the other food councils around the state,
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
are they responding to this type of need?
Right.
And if so, how are they
They're going
approaching
about
it?
it.
Because
Mhm.
it's a bigger need than our area, but.
A lot of the food, like I just really was like trying to, they do deliver. Some of the food pantries deliver.
Mhm.
And if we can rise up this food council, maybe we can figure it out.
Mhm.
And so I know it's not like the need is today,
Yeah,
Mhm.
but maybe we can get it like
yeah,
next week instead of today.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that's- I just want to bring awareness
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
local people and
Thank you.
what's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah, it's like really important to have that on the record.
Yes,
We're not gonna solve it today, but we need to keep talking
right,
about it.
yes, definitely.
I did have a couple of follow-up questions. if
Please.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Off the top of your head, just rough math, like
Mhm.
those 56 people on the wait list,
Mhm.
like, do you have a number of like, what would it cost for each person to participate in Meals on Wheels for a year, say?
Okay, well, I can tell you, I know, I'll just give you an example.
Yeah.
$23,000 will feed 16 people for a year,
16 people, 23,000.
for a year.
Okay.
Oh, you're asking us to do some math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like just under
Great, it's like,
$1,500 a person.
It's what?
It's just under $1,500 a person if you, I rounded up quite a bit, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Per year.
And I will say too, that's, to provide meals for a year. I had a call just recently for someone who, they really only needed meals for 3 or 4 months because they're home recovering from surgery and they've got nobody. So not every case is someone who may need meals all year. I think most are probably, Nancy, but
Yeah,
know
the
I've seen
general
some that-
percentage is, but we
Yeah.
do a lot of calls from this area that have just been getting released from the hospital, and they have no resources
Once I get home.
once they get home to get food into their homes.
Yeah. And then the other thing that just while I'm thinking of it, and before I get distracted by my kids again, because they just got home, I do. Here's Andrew. Say hi, Dad. He's in here somewhere. Hi, Dad. I do sometimes refer. Oh, look, you see him? I do sometimes refer people to an organization that we found. It's called Lasagna Love, and it's volunteers who are willing to make a lasagna at home and deliver it to someone. And so you can sign up as a volunteer. I think right now I'm the only person signed up as a volunteer in Millinocket, but you can sign up, volunteer to make, 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 lasagnas a week. You buy the groceries, you make it, you deliver it. And I haven't had any requests come through for the area, but I've started referring people to that. But that might also be something that we can think about.
Oh.
Like, how could we implement that just locally?
Mhm.
Instead of sending people to a website where they have to fill out an application and, because oftentimes when I refer people, I go to the website while I'm on the phone with them and I
Exactly, yeah, I do
Um,
the same thing.
yeah.
But,
so-
you're looking at an age bracket that they weren't born with a computer in their
Right.
hands.
Right.
Like a lot of us have been, they're afraid of technology.
Yeah.
They're afraid they're gonna get scammed. There's so many
Yeah.
reasons why they aren't able to check out these resources. Even with a list of them,
Right.
they have no
right.
access.
Yeah,
So it's like, I think it's up to all of us
I
to
agree.
find ways to make it possible.
Yep. To ease that.
Yeah.
Diana, do you have other follow-up questions?
Yeah,
Keep
but I
going.
don't want to waste too much
Keep
time.
going. No,
I
that's
guess
fine.
You
fine.
started to answer it because I feel like there's different like angles to this
Mm.
problem. Like you've mentioned the transportation issue of like getting to the store, just getting to a resource like a food pantry. There's like the information piece of like they don't even know what's there.
Mhm.
But also what I'm kind of hearing is even when you're able to connect with them, there's not much more we can offer them locally.
Mm.
Like correct me if
Right.
I'm wrong, but that's what
No.
we've encountered here a lot. It's like, well, there's Meals on Wheels, but if there's no funding for that,
Mhm.
then maybe
Exactly.
the resource side of it, it might be the biggest aspect.
Right.
I don't know. That's just kind
Yeah.
of what I'm hearing
Mhm.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do feel like there's a lot of potential in like centralizing local approaches and getting volunteers plugged in, like from, I think with a lot of the churches and different
Mhm.
communities, like these support systems exist. But if someone's not plugged in, they wouldn't know about that, or is there a way to
Exactly.
make it a little more accessible
Mhm.
to others and strengthen those
Right.
structures a bit,
Mhm.
so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can even see like a group of people that are going to meet at one of the churches and use their kitchen and they're going to make a bunch of lasagnas together and deliver them that day. Like, I mean, I
Yeah.
would go to do that. And I'm
Yeah.
sure a lot of people would be willing to, but
I love that
Getting
idea.
something.
Like an event,
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, it does.
it's lasagna.org.
She's speaking of having your computer up and checking it out right away. Very good. Barbara?
Yeah, just pivoting back to the first question about picking up and delivering food. I had recommended someone to Susan D'Alessandro because what she needs is it delivered and brought into the house.
Mhm.
So, and we potentially could get volunteers for that. It's a much lighter load than,
Mhm.
cooking and delivering. But that person would probably still need to be vetted just because they're going into someone's home, so.
Yeah.
There's some liability there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, but
Yeah.
did we address that, how we would address that need at all for?
No, we just brought it up.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying
yeah.
that was not gonna be able to solve it in this
Right.
meeting,
Right.
but that it needs to be on our radar and in our
Right.
work going forward. Yeah.
I'll ask John about Ellis though, because for a long time, we were able to work with them to get deliveries in the Tri-Town area
Mhm.
at least, so I'll see what I can find out.
And who knows, maybe Hannaford would be open to it if we told them there was a need, for someone to deliver. We could. Should I
least
volunteer
ask.
to ask?
At least ask if that,
can ask.
something that they,
and I think KG will deliver, not that they have a ton of stuff, but they do have some basic things. They've got, different proteins that they're offering
But
now.
isn't there a cost to that?
There might be a small cost for the delivery.
And
But
maybe if they coordinated on one day, we deliver on Thursdays or
Mhm.
something.
yeah.
there are some people that can pay, yeah.
We have 2 tiers here. We have people that can afford groceries and
Mhm.
pay, and
Yeah.
maybe pay a
Right.
small fee for
Yeah.
Yeah.
delivery. Or it would be great if it was free.
Yeah.
If needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then also, there are people that just don't have food.
Right,
Right.
that's a
Right,
different,
so,
Yeah,
different.
yeah,
that's a
yeah,
whole-
two different. Yep.
I think there's a meeting here at 3.
Okay, we've already. So, yeah, so I'm gonna move it right along. Anybody that I need more information for the Age of Friendly Action Plan Progress Report, I will reach out to you. Thank you. I know there's some of you that have looked at it in the Google document that I sent out to you, so that's a work in progress. Unless I will skip over member updates unless there's something that somebody needs to have said, or there's something that's time sensitive that we need to bring forward. And then it goes into other, and I think we've covered a lot of other. And so our next meeting date, if we followed our schedule like we do, June 10th at 2 p.m.
That's today.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't change it. Look, I didn't change it. Oh, June, July. Oh,
8th,
July 8th.
or
Do we, let's look at,
yeah, the second Tuesday would be July 8th,
um,
which we can do here if you want.
okay. So July 8th, sorry, I did, I didn't update that section. So July 8th. Very good. Age friendly, 2 p.m. And I'll get that out to folks. So, all right. So look, 2:58, there's a meeting coming in. Thank you, everybody, for your time. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Peter, coming on, and we'll
See you at the
We'll s-
farmer's market.
we'll see you at the farmers market in the July,
And the
July
library
5th,
celebration.
and the library celebration and
Yeah.
all other things in between and online. Thank you. So we'll adjourn our meeting.